Hello everyone and welcome to today's EAUC webinar. The title of this webinar is Engaging Online Audiences, Tweaking in the Dawn Chorus, and it will last approximately 1 hour. It is in the Staff Engagement and Human Resources and Student Engagement Live framework. Thank you for registering, and thanks also to Sarah Roberts and Sandra Lee from the University of Leicester. My name is Steph and I'm the Membership Engagement Officer here at the EAUC. If you have any specific event, webinar or training requests, I'll be more than happy to talk to you at any time. I also work with our community groups, so as a member of the EAUC, I encourage you to join one of our communities of practice or regional groups. More information about how to join these can be found on the Member Zone area of our website. You may have previously attended or heard of exchange webinars. These are continuing, but due to their popularity, we have developed a new range of EAUC webinars. These are for members only and are an added benefit to your membership. These are more detailed with clear learning outcomes, expert speakers, and will allow for a more complex discussion. They normally last between 1 and 1.5 hours, depending on the topic. Shortly after the webinar is finished, you will receive a certificate of attendance to place in your personal development file as a record of the training. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me well. I've muted you all to avoid any background noise, and you will continue to be muted throughout the webinar. If you're having any technical issues throughout this webinar, please let me know by either posting on the on-screen chat box or sending me an email to sikirby@eauc.org.uk. Hopefully most of you have working microphones as well. Don't worry if not, as you will still have the opportunity to ask any questions at the end. Just to let you know, this webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded as a resource with all presentations later on today. Please feel free to share these resources with any colleagues or fellow EAUC members. Once the webinar is finished, you'll be sent a short survey for us to gain your feedback. Please take a few minutes to complete this survey, as the results will help improve our CPD and events. That's all from me for now. Thanks again for registering, and I'll now pass you over to Sarah and Sandra.
Hi there everyone, thanks for joining us. Is the sound, I know the sound wasn't great with Seth, is it any better for us? Not that there's much I can do about it if there isn't, but hopefully if anyone can let us know whether we're coming too crackly. Seems better. Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. Okay, well, again, thanks for joining us. So we're going to talk today about engaging online audiences on Twitter, or as we prefer, tweeting in the dawn chorus. I'm sure I've met most of you. My name's Sandra Lee. I'm the Sustainability Officer here at Leicester, and with me is Sarah Roberts, who's our Communications intern, and she's been getting to grips with Twitter this year. So it can seem like a mammoth task to be heard above all the ruckus that we're bombarded with, videos, images and text. We log into our internet every day, dive straight in, swimming through a sea of information, looking for gems that we hope might just get us a few retweets, favourites or followers. So today we're going to chat to you about our experiences, successes and our own difficulties to see if we can help prevent you from drowning, and maybe pick up a few tips from you guys as well. So what are we going to start off? We're going to start off by asking why give a hoot. Yes, no apologies, get ready for some bird puns. In other words, what's the point in having Twitter and what are its tangible benefits? But before we start asking too many questions though, we'll talk about who we are, what's been the University of Leicester's environment team's flight path that we've taken to where we are today. Should we consider ourselves successful, or are we missing a trick with our followers? Who are these followers, and should that affect your Twitter activity? There's no point tweeting a lot about student volunteering opportunities if you're being followed by the British Roundabout Appreciation Society. We've checked, it's a thing. We'll also talk a little bit about how you can use free tools on Twitter Analytics so you can get a better understanding of how to get the most from your time. And then more importantly, we're going to ask, who are you? Are you a corporate crow with brand that projects are you solemn? Or perhaps a sociable starling that thrives on all kind of fun engagement? Every Twitter account should have an individual personality, and it should really reflect the brand that you represent. But whoever you are, all's fair in love and Twitter, because you should certainly be looking to make friends. What relationships can you build on and offline to enhance your social media voice? And by this we mean other universities, companies, community groups, as well as your students and staff. We'll round off with our top TWIPs even, on what to do and not to do on social media, because once it's done, it's done. Don't be a twit on Twitter, as it were. So then it's time for your questions, and we'd like to challenge you to use 140 characters or less, because it's good practice to get into. So, before we get started, let's see how many of you know the answer to this question. Take a guess or feel smug if you know it already, and we'll reveal the answer in a few slides' time. Polling day occurred this year on the 7th of May, but what relevant hashtag became a surprise #1 top trender? So send us in your answers while we carry on. So, why should we tweet? Well, Twitter's fast becoming the barometer by which current events are measured. The general election party leader debates this year were evaluated almost instantly by many newspapers and websites according to the total number of positive and negative tweets sent. It's incredible. It's the fastest and most effective way to get and share information, although maybe not always the most accurate. Most of you joining us here today are from academic institutions all over the country, and on the guest list that we've seen sustainability officers, carbon managers and transport coordinators, as well as others. So you all understand that we know that we've got a pretty tough sell with the world of sustainability. Our overall goal is to be successful in being sustainable and encouraging others to be. But we want everyone else to see what we're up to and think, gosh, that's brilliant, how wonderful they are. But, you know, we're not like the cake company that can post wonderful pictures of chocolate gâteaux or tweet about money-saving discounts or how much Mr. and Mrs. Smith enjoyed our product. It would be great if sustainability was a piece of cake, bum, not a bird pun. But Twitter and social media can still be very beneficial to us. Someone could maybe keep a pun counter. Before we do anything in the morning, we watch and learn what's going on, and not just within our own sector. Who or what are people interested in? Is it trending? Can you think of something worth saying which relates to this? This is one of the first ways you can begin to engage in relevant conversations. Remember, social media is conversations over the internet, so you have to remember the conversing side of it. Building those relations and making connections can reap very good rewards. You might have questions about new technology or you need new ideas for a project. If you're seen to be openly talking with different groups, you're helping to build brand awareness and improve the image of your organisation. At the end of the day, you still have a very important message to send out, and you can use Twitter to send very meaningful messages about sustainability. Post links to your website so people can stay up to date with your activities and learn what it is you do to play your part. The thing with Twitter is that you never know for sure just who is passively watching and reading, so don't drift too far away from your key issues. It's okay to use Twitter to brag about what you're doing, as long as you're ready to tell other people how you've done it and are not overly smug about it. Puff yourself up and do a bit of peacocking, but a word of warning, be careful of wild claims. We'd all like to go viral, but make sure it isn't for the wrong reasons. So enough about why. Who are we and how did we get to where we are today? Well, our account is nearly 5 years old. A previous intern created it back in 2010 and was very strict with us. She prescribed us a tweet a day to get our account up and running. And you know, it was pretty slow in the beginning. We weren't very clued up. Twitter had only started in 2006 and was just beginning to pick up pace. We relied a lot on retweets and facts and figures from our favourite websites, and to be honest, we were probably quite dull. This year, we'll be hiring our 7th intern, and we've kept the tradition of keeping them in charge of our account because it's great experience for them and they're most in touch with students, seeing as the rest of us just keep getting older and older. Each intern has approached our social media engagement with different levels of skill and enthusiasm, so our brand probably took longer to establish than it could have. At first, we did try to stay quite corporate and safe, which isn't that great for building followers. So if we take a quick look at how our Twitter activity has progressed over the years, you can see that we had a big spike when we first set up the account, and then that intern left and we had a drop, following by a fluctuating rise and fall of tweets until we get to about 2015, which is when Sarah joined us.
Hello, that's a mouse.
Of course.
Thank you. So, As you can tell, I quite enjoyed taking the reins of Twitter Power, and I've been experimenting all year with different tweets and methods of engagement. We actually gained most of our Twitter followers in the 2014 academic year, when we started to actually get quite a bit more interesting, a bit more personal. But even though I'm tweeting more, it's important to point out that the volume of tweets doesn't necessarily reflect the follower growth pattern. I'm guessing this spike right here at the end is when we had our recent tea towel survey with other universities. A bit more on that later. So let's take a quick look at some facts about us for this month. This keeps going up and down, but currently we have 1,092 followers. We tweet on average about 1 to 2 times a day. A quarter of our tweets are retweeted, with half of that favorited, and about 1/5 of tweets we send out are replied to, which gives us a social authority figure of 36. Now, the description says that this measures how influential we are, but this is worth taking with a pinch of salt. We actually had quite a bit of fun with some of the Twitter analysis tools, especially Tweetails, who not only told us that our intelligence rating showed us to be scholarly and very smug about it, but we were also a level 2 master tweet assassin. As long as we're not a ninja who hides in the shadows, then that's okay. But we hope that what we've built over the years is a friendly and informative online persona with plenty of opportunities for our followers to engage with us, or at least be entertained. We still try to be professional and apolitical, which can be tough, Sandra, but retain a personality worth talking to or about. Okay.
So we're just handing things, mouses and things. So who are our followers? Well, our stats, and I confess these are a year out of date because I haven't had a chance to go through them again, show that followers tend to be a mix of sustainability-related professionals, students, and random people. We do delete the porn stars. Admittedly, like I said, I haven't been through these in a year, but I doubt the proportions have changed that much. One thing to note is the small amount of staff. So it's pointless us tweeting staff-related things. Something we're keen on doing is updating these figures so that we can really start to think about a wider strategy for communications. Oh.
Isn't it?
Yeah, there we go, sorry. So we've been using these free Twitter analysis tools to pick out this information, and it's worth you taking a look as well. If you go onto Google and put Twitter analysis in, you will come up with so many different ones. So we've these, in our opinion, are the best. You can learn for yourself as well. You can learn more about yourself as well as who your followers are, and you can tailor your tweets a lot better to the people who are actually following you. So I suggest these 4 to start with. This is what Twitter Analytics will give you. It gives you a 28-day summary of your top tweets, mentions, and profile visits. It would be really handy if it would give you an annual report, but I can't figure out how to. If anyone else can, please let me know. That'd be great. Twitonomy is one of my favourites. It can tell you what days of the week you're most active and for how many hours of the day, which is relevant. Then you can look at some of them will also tell you when your followers are active, which is obviously quite important. There's no point you always tweeting at 9 AM if your followers don't log in till 12 and your tweets are then completely lost in their news feeds. So be on there when they're on there. Makes sense? Follower Wonk gives you lots of different things, and one of the things it can give you is a map of the world of where your followers are based, which is quite nice. If anyone knows of a free site of a timeline of when you gained followers, that would be great, because one of the things we wanted to do as part of this presentation, we wanted to see if there was a relation between when we got followers and the volume of tweets, or what kind of tweets we did, but we couldn't find anything. So if anyone else can find that, then that would be really good. I'm going to hand you back over
to me. So back to our question we asked you.
We had one correct answer.
Yes.
Well done, Carl.
Carl from De Montfort University. We didn't give him the answer, we swear. He's also based in Leicester. Okay, so the answer was indeed, whoop whoop. Yes, it was dogs at polling stations. and it was created by the Twitter account Innocent Drinks, who you probably know primarily make smoothies. Smoothies? I hear you say. How is this smoothie company relevant? Well, this hashtag is a perfect example of how Innocent have built a brand image around themselves, which projects silliness, fun, and of course, a splash of innocence. Rather than trying to get involved in politics or making jokes about politicians, they resourcefully used how much people love to upload pictures of their dogs and tapped into the biggest event in that country that day without getting political. Change the page. So, I love this brand because it's so clear and simple, and they managed to make it feel incredibly personal, but the only face you need is their cute little logo with the halo above it. Their products are promoted to have no hidden nasties and only the good stuff, so it makes sense that the Twitter account promotes honesty and good things as well. Just so you know, we don't have a deal going on with Innocent Smoothies at the moment. I do just genuinely like their brand.
But if anyone does and would like to send us some, we'd be grateful.
Excellent. Moving on. Okay. Who is a Mars bar? Okay. Have a think for a moment about if you had to make that chocolate into a human. What would they be like? Picture that person in your head, give them clothes, if you prefer, or whatever haircut you like. Have a think. Ready? Or let's go to the next slide. We don't know what you imagined, but we thought about men in their mid-20s, typically dark features because of the packaging, but generally someone who perhaps represented a tradesman or someone working class. But, okay, what's our message here? Well, Innocent Drinks and Mars Bar both have a very clear concept about who they are and who their target market is. The men pictured are all from Mars adverts, and you can see that they generally fit this persona. Our point is that, unlike Mars and Innocent, many sustainability teams are confused about who their target market is on Twitter, and so their branding is unfocused. It was quite an eye-opener for us when we found out who our followers actually were, and we meant that we had to rethink our tweets to make it more tailored for the people who are following us, rather than those who we would like to be following us. Okay, so who are you? What's your brand and what image are you trying to project? Are you a sociable starling or a corporate crow, perhaps? Question what your message is. How would you describe yourself, and is it how you want to be described? Who is your audience, and what opinions do they have of you? It may not be the answer you want, but answer truthfully. We already mentioned we got more fun in 2013-14, so let's take a look at how we humanized ourselves. There were some photos of the team at Christmas, including some embarrassing jumpers for Save the Children, hashtag Christmas Jumper Day. You can
I'm not embarrassed by that jumper.
Of course, she would not be embarrassed by that jumper. She's very proud. Or, moving on to special events like weddings and birthdays, with the odd funny caption competition thrown in for good measure. Now, this was when we had a lot of team members in our office, but this year my approach, like every intern, has been different, and it's been almost been creating a less personal personality. So we don't just want sustainability professionals on Twitter. As lovely as we all are, we should be challenging ourselves and have people who don't associate themselves with the word sustainability. So I had quite a bit of fun bringing in some images and stories that involved animals and sustainability, which can be great fun every now and again. Here we have a few about lions with donated Christmas trees, and ducks having their own duck lane, and a wren as well making a home from a shoe. And they all highlight important aspects of sustainability, but take a much softer approach. Incidentally, if we think about this term soft sustainability, this is how companies spread their message on social media without ever mentioning the S word, and instead talk about certain themes or use particular narratives. We've put a little link up there if you're interested in learning more, but perhaps we should think about the differences between these soft and hard approaches. Are they worth experimenting with? So, other times on Twitter, we've used analogies to explain more complex reasons behind important university statistics. Our piece of cake hashtag was a reactive piece to the bright green research of the sustainability statistics. People knew about this, and we had to react. So, topical and current means more followers. Sandra's tweet on UKIP, shown below, looks like our record, and we've received more followers because of it. We found that by choosing a hashtag that was trending that day and making it at least most of the time relevant to us, you can get more publicity. Depression Awareness Week meant that we could link nature to health and well-being, while the Who Made My Clothes hashtag allowed us to talk about how we chose ethically sourced hoodies and tweeted to our supplier just to say hello. This is a good idea. National Kissing Day stretched it a bit, but we wanted to have a bit of fun, and that's okay for you to do if it matches your brand. However, don't just stick with trending. Read the news, go through your own sources, and you can help make the trend. Double check the left-hand column on Twitter where your trending is set to. Do you want to make it local or nationwide commentary? Okay, back over to Sandra.
So within a big institution like a university or college, there's a big opportunity to make friends, and we can't place enough emphasis on the importance of networking. Let's look at 5 accounts that we're friends with from outside the University of Leicester. We don't always get the opportunity to talk to these people face to face, which is why it can be very important that we keep in touch via social media. Orange Bag Recycling is a Leicester City Council account, and it's a good idea to keep in touch to see if we can work on projects together. Here's a screen grab from that we took at Fresh Fair 2015, when the Environmental Action Society on the left and Sarah on the she's the one on the right.
I'm on the right.
Met Kieran for a cheeky picture together, send the message that they're working together to reduce waste. And recently we've been chatting with them again about putting together a package in which we'll send regular news stories and information for us to feed back to our students so they know about how to recycle at home. And yes, of course we could just email each other or call each other up, but doing it this publicly is great for everybody. Everyone knows what's going on, and hopefully encourages other people to get in touch with us as well, to know that we are approachable, that we do like to collaborate. No university is an island, which is why we like to also show our support to local groups. The picture on the right, Saffron Acres is a local food growing group around here that we support as much as we can. We've never met the people in charge of the University of Brighton Twitter account, but Sarah saw some of their posts and liked how active and interesting they were. I don't know if there's anyone from Brighton here today.
I'm not sure.
So we told them that we liked their posts, and they challenged us to a friendly exchange of meat-free recipes, which is what carried on. It was quite good fun. Oh, we do have someone. Hi there. So we never decided who won, but we really enjoyed the interaction, and so online friends were made, and that's what Twitter really can be about. Anna, who does
Yay! Hi, Anna.
Hi to Anna and Lucy.
And Lucy.
So keeping up visible relationships online with people who do business also isn't a bad idea. We recently had a staff travel day, and we joined forces with our local e-bike centre that we bought our electric bikes from for our pull bike scheme, and we featured in the local newspaper. So you'll see both myself and Sarah in that picture. I don't know why I didn't get a bike, but
you don't deserve a bike.
No, apparently not. We also installed a BHF clothes bank at our halls of residence and saved 151 bags from landfill. And of course we had to tweet about this, because it's benefited us both. It's always a good thing. Earlier we mentioned that Twitter can be very useful for getting new ideas or projects, but it can also be useful to make decisions. This was an interesting case. We had 3 tea towel designs to choose from. So we asked 10 accounts, a mixture of universities and others, to offer their opinion, and we were sure that we'd get a good response. And Sarah was also sure that everyone would pick the design that she wanted. She was wrong.
Oh, yes.
We promised tea towels to anyone who helped us out, and with such visible and obvious response, of course, we had to honour the result. We received a very good piece of feedback from the geography student account, and we didn't want to be like the groups on The Apprentice and ignore the market research. So it's a lesson worth learning, that if you offer something like that to an audience, be prepared for whatever response you get. So yes, we didn't get what we wanted. Sorry, I'm getting distracted reading your comments. So, we can't forget about our relationships with internal accounts, as this is where obviously our staff and students are based. We've got a good relationship with the Geography Department, where most of our volunteers come from, and a great one with the Hungry for Change food growing project, who have been brilliant in working with us on many different projects, including setting up a bird feeder on their plot. Our new Environmental Action Student Society has recently joined Twitter, so we're looking forward to them getting to grips with it, and we're always looking for opportunities to get into conversation with them and the Leicester Student Union account. Obviously we meet these people on a weekly basis and talk to them, but we can have a whole other online conversation with them, a very public one that, again, can only help our networking. Back over
to myself. Okay, so we heard that a key question from EAUC members has been how is the main account managed alongside other departmental accounts such as ours? Okay. After being asked by the EAUC to do this webinar, we decided to go meet with Victoria Russell for a chat about her job, and she runs the main university account. Okay. So she told us that from originally having about 100 followers in 2012, that number has rocketed to roughly 30,000. We've seen the difference in tweets from when Vic is in control and when she was away, as her tweets are engaging and can be personal or professional when needed. I didn't click that. Yay. We commented on how good this was, but Vic reminded us that it's all relative. We're only a small departmental account, but we have 1,000 followers, and that's great. They are a big account and expect to have many more than us, but the number isn't that important. Yes, it looks impressive, but as you can see, they only follow around a tiny proportion in return. One reason is because they don't just follow out of politeness, because that is one way to dilute your newsfeed and devalue your friends. But they also get plenty of accounts who are just out there to get as many followers as possible. Remember, it's quality over quantity. What's the old Orwellian saying? All accounts are equal, but some are more equal than others. The university's target audience includes stakeholders, applicants, staff, other universities and businesses, which is a very wide demographic. The challenge, therefore, is to keep everyone engaged, but not so specific that they exclude certain people. We asked Vic how much time she felt she spent interacting with people on and offline to get a balance of this. And she said it felt like a cliche, but it truly felt like it was and should be 50-50. These communications are managed in the following ways, which Vic kindly described for us about how her tweets are controlled. So I found this very useful. Firstly, there's the long term. These are conversations her and her team have about the things which they can plan for, usually that which happens each year, like graduations. Tweets will be congratulatory, warm, and will often follow personal stories. Then there's the short term. These can be meetings had on a weekly basis, typically with the press office, but if there are big news stories that they will be planning for with important detail, they will meet with specific departmental representatives. Lastly, there's reactive. This is what happens if they need to respond to something within a set time limit. This could be a comment or question from an applicant that should be, or student, that should be replied to in the shortest possible time for optimum engagement. It could also be an unexpected news story, sweet or savoury, that could take careful planning of as much as 24 hours. So a good example of this, of all three, is the discovery of Richard III.
We had to get that in.
Yeah, woo, Richard III. And it received huge media attention from all over the country. But with unexpected events coming from York, it certainly wasn't plain sailing, and they had to be ready with answers. You might want to check out the Richard III hashtag, but there was also an unofficial Richard III account that cropped up. And that gained quite a few followers, I think. And that's what it means to be current and topical. So yes. Okay. So we summarised by asking her what her key message would be, and she gave us this. Always ask yourself, what are you saying? Why are you saying it? Who are you saying it to? And what's your content? That should keep you alert and relevant. you don't really need training to be on Twitter. So although you may be tempted to go on one-day courses, the best thing you can do is practice. Lessons learned from this show that Twitter should always be up on your desktop. You can put aside time for Twitter if you want to directly initiate conversation, but most of the time it should just be of the moment. So schedule it in, pre-plan tweets for events, and then again, don't schedule it in. Just have some fun, be on your mobile. It's easy. Okay. Now back to Sandra.
So we've added in a few of our top tips here. And it's great to build on your own from your own experiences, and you'll have good and bad ones, which we hope you'll share when we move to the questions bit, or pop them in. But yeah, do respond to genuine questions and statements, and don't ignore bad or negative reviews. Every opinion counts. Do give careful and well thought out responses, but don't get drawn into rants and trolls. Although if you do want, the best example of someone that deals with Twitter trolls is James Blunt. If anyone, just Google James Blunt Twitter trolls. He is hilarious in his responses. I don't care much for the guy's music, but his tweets are fantastic. Feel free to point people towards interesting topics. In an ideal world, you'll have articles ready and waiting on your website to point them to, but otherwise be generous and share other people's content. But don't be too divisive, personal or emotive unless you're really well prepared. Obviously do keep it current and topical, but don't be political. I would love to be, but it is the work account and you'll just get into trouble. The UKIP one was about as close to the edge as I'd like to go. Do use visual tools, lots of images, videos. Do check your facts. Don't just share blindly. I don't know if I'm sure you're aware there's a thing doing the rounds at the moment. It was based in Leicester. A woman accused Primark of throwing a security guard of grabbing her child and hurling them out of the store because she was breastfeeding. It got shared massively, made the front page of Metro, various things. Complete fiction. She did it to get attention. And actually, I did see that on my social media feed because obviously we're Leicester based and she had form for this, but people just blindly followed it, so don't do that. And do speak in the first person. Be a person. I remember seeing someone once on a social networking site who'd written their stuff in the third person. Joe Blogs is now working at such and such a. On social media, that's just weird. It doesn't work, so don't do that. So be human. Some fun stuff. We couldn't resist having a look at some famous Twitter gaffes. Maybe you remember the launch of Susan's album party, yes, or Naomi Campbell's unfortunate spelling mistake. Or how about the new Ninja Turtle film that attracted a lot of criticism because of 9/11? Ouch. Not great. And a very famous one, who could forget when Airball tweeted his own name as his first tweet? Of course he was ridiculed about it, but there's now an Airball's Day with its own hashtag, so not all gaffes are terminal. And I'm sure you guys can come up with lots of other ones. There are tons of them. But, there is the whole no publicity is bad publicity thing. But, yeah. Okay, so we'll finish off with these 4 take-home messages. Build your brand, and don't be dull. Build relationships. Remember to have conversations, so just talk at people. Exploit the resource. There's a world out there of people who want to tell you how clever they are. So ask them. It's great. We've had all sorts of free information. It's fast as well. And know your audience. Make sure you know exactly who it is you're tweeting to, and be current and relevant for them. Okay, we've got plenty of time for questions. So if you have enjoyed this webinar, please tweet to us and the EAUC, and if you could use the hashtag EAUC webinar. Okay, so some questions coming through. Carl's asked, yes, all the analytical tools are free. I assume that these slides will be shared afterwards, so we can give you the links, or we can have the things. But yes, they are all free to use. Some of them you have to, well, all you do is log in with your Twitter account and the information comes back at you. We've done some extensive testing on various ones. Some of them just take forever to load and some of them are just naff. But there are paid for things that you can use. Oh, there you go, yes, presentation slides will be. Yeah, there are paid for analytical sites, but I think you need a huge account and lots of different customers and things like that to make it worthwhile. So yeah, we've got a question. If anyone's got an easy way of making your own cover picture,
yeah, I find that quite difficult sometimes because mine end up quite grainy and trying to fit it into the cover page is quite difficult.
Oh, there you go. Lindsay's got
thank you, Lindsay.
Canva.com. Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Yes, I'll definitely have a look at that later on.
Do we have a set of hashtags we frequently use? Well, one of the analytical tools gave us our frequently used words, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for us. We realised that we overuse some things like Brookfield, which is where we're cited, not very interesting, not very relevant, and we don't use words like sustainability that often. So we're still learning. We don't tend to have our own set of hashtags that much. We have some sort of internal things. To be honest, it's not a bad idea to do so. I have to say it was our idea to have hashtag EAUC webinar.
Yes.
We hope that they'll use it now on from all of them, because then what that means is obviously all the webinar comments and stuff from all the different EAUC webinars are kept in one place. So hopefully everyone will continue that. Yeah, Canva.com, that's a good one. You've written it down.
RE, free resource, correct dimensions, great, thank you.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised birds haven't cropped up more. Are you proud of me that birds has not been a more popular word? I'm crazy about birds. And
did anyone work that out? That we have a bird enthusiast on our team.
Big bird enthusiast.
Anyone who's been following our Twitter for the last year will see. Do you use any other social media platforms to link to your... No, we did. I've used Hootsuite and I've used various other things. I think partly the thing is that we have lots of different people. I mean, generally Sarah is in charge of our social media feed, but I tag in and do things like that. At one point when I think we were between interns and I was too busy, I linked our Facebook and Twitter accounts. So if you posted on one, it automatically posted on the other. It was a big mistake. Our Facebook page, our Facebook followers are mainly students, and so therefore, personally, I think you should keep the content quite different. I don't know about you, but if you follow anyone else on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and you see the same content come up on all three, it smacks of lazy to me, and it's not relevant. It's just annoying. I would rather see different content in each of that. I have to say, we don't use Instagram as a team yet. I personally think we should. I'm a big Instagram fan personally, and we should put a lot more photos on there. So I think that's coming soon. But we're not just going to jump into it. We have to think about the strategy and how we get that across, the hashtags to use, and all that kind of stuff. So I personally don't think linking them. I think keep them separate. Do we have social media KPIs? Do we benchmarking it? We don't have set KPIs. We do have a common strategy, but all we sort of say at the moment is we want to boost our followers as much as possible and keep them relevant. Do we benchmark against the account? Do you know, well, I happen to know that Demonstrat are always fully aware of how many followers we have versus how many they have, because they tell me. Yes, guilty. So, yes, of course we keep an eye on what you guys are doing and how many followers and just what you're up to. I mean, it's so difficult. As Sarah said earlier, it's not about number of followers, because if, you know, like I said, we do delete the porn stars and the irrelevant people, and people just trying to sell us things that we're not interested in, because like I said, like Sarah said, it devalues the friends that we do have. I think social media is still a bit new. How did we categorise our followers? Oh, okay. the reason I haven't done it for the last year is it was painstaking. I literally went through them all and tallied them up. So if anyone does know of a tool that can categorise it, I would love to hear it, because no, I just painstakingly went through, which is why I haven't done it again.
I think
it was still a useful exercise. Yeah, no sneaky tricks. It was just painstaking.
I think one thing that's clear from this is that we're giving this webinar and saying, can you tell us anything? Can you teach us anything? We're telling you a little bit about what we know. But if you know anything as well, it's great to share, because we're in the same boat and sometimes it gets rocky. So we're happy to have chats about social media.
I mean, maybe social media KPIs would be a good thing. I think now we've all got accounts that are a few years old or a couple of years old, and we're getting somewhere. It probably is something that we could do as an industry. We could sort of have a think about what we want to achieve. But personally, I would say understand who your followers are first, get your brand right, and get your message right first. And also make sure your website is worth leading people to. I mean, social media should be about pointing people to where the bulk of the content is. I did go on a very, very useful social media training day, and one of the things that they said was be generous with content. Nobody wants to follow you, especially if you're a business, say, buy our stuff, please buy our stuff. Our stuff's great, buy our stuff. You wouldn't follow them for very long. Why are you on there? You want to be entertained, you want to be informed. So make sure that your account's doing that and lead them to stuff. Your website does need to be in good shape.
Again, Innocent Smoothies is a good example of this, because they will have some really fun tweets. And every now and again you will see them tweet, oh yes, and remember to buy our smoothies. And completely honest, but I love it for.
So maybe we could have, oh yeah, and be green. Turn stuff off. Please, just turn stuff off. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah. That sounds great.
It'd be quite useful. There's suddenly a lot of noise going.
Okay, background noise.
Yeah, background noise. Does anyone else have any more questions? I think Becky's trying to speak, but we can't hear anything for some reason. No. I can't hear anything.
Oh,
okay.
Does it depend how it's run?
I mean, obviously every organisation will have their own policies and procedures, but I think some organisations are nervous. We're quite lucky that they were a little bit clueless here about so we got away with it, and now we're successful. They're letting us get on with it. So personally, I think setting one up from scratch would be a lot better, because you need to be able to interact with your own news feed. And if you've just got a main account and you've got a student account, you're just going to have hundreds and hundreds of other people on there. So how can you see which tweets are relevant to you?
Why not write up a Twitter strategy if they're nervous, or you set something up that says, we will not do this, these are our guidelines, and we will follow those. And then after a while, sort of you can then explore and experiment a bit more, but you get them to trust you first.
Yeah, I think you could probably combine environment and estates issues into one Twitter account.
Yeah.
I think that could work. But the wider sustainability stuff, if you're going to start having ESD and things like that and teaching, then that could get a little bit more complicated. Obviously, you have to tailor it to your institution. But personally, I'd say set one up from scratch.
Yeah, this is that's almost an example of sort of sustainability being sidelined. Again, I mean, it's like, oh no, just kind of, you could say it's being embedded, but actually, if you haven't got a voice, I mean, is that saying it's less important?
But we are a community.
Yeah, hello.
We are an important community. Yeah.
Hoping to save the world.
Any more questions? Oh, yeah. We made the case, but it's important you can keep it up to date. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that Sarah said, is have it open all the time. doesn't have to be the most time-consuming thing, but you do have to have half a mind to it. I kind of see it as like having your email open all the time. You know, it's sort of, you go and make a cup of tea, you come back, you refresh your feed. Oh, what's on there? Do something with it, or not. Then get on with whatever you were doing. I don't think it works particularly well to say, I don't know, for every day between 2 and past, I will do my Twitter stuff. It doesn't work that way. It's sort of, do it when you need a break from something else.
If you want to chat to us, you should come tweet to us. We'll definitely talk back to you.
But you know, it is hard. You know, I can see Victoria's right. It is hard, especially when you are a small team, which we also are now. We used to be plentiful. We are now small, and I think that's happening to a lot of us. It is hard to keep up with it. But you know, you have to look at the return. And 5 minutes spent sending a well-written tweet can reach a whole lot more people than you could email, for example. And like that. The market research that, for example, Sarah did on the tea towel, I mean, we're spending a lot of money on these tea towels, refreshers and stuff.
Right.
It would have taken her an age to go around and find out people's opinions and things like that. It didn't take very long at all on Twitter. You can also run it as it's an engagement tool. How much time do you spend on engagement? I think, personally, I think it's quite a good, effective use of time. But you do need to set the accounts up in the first place and get them where you want them. And we would still like more staff and students on our accounts, but we're working on that. So yeah, we tend to just use Facebook for students. They're still stuck in Facebook land. Hopefully, when we get Instagram, that'll be a whole new
intern's job.
Yes. Notice how Sarah's moving away from that. She's distancing herself from the... So yes, we've recruited our new intern already, number 7. And hopefully she'll be just as enthusiastic as Sarah is, and hopefully less bird puns.
Oh, thank you very much.
Got tea towel envy, do we? We had a little bit of money left to spend this year, and we're not going to get any next year, so... yeah, Sarah's idea for a tea towel. It makes a change from mugs and pens and...
Yeah, well, it's something that you use every day, and hopefully you do this sort of the drying and the washing up most days, and drying your tea towel and go, oh, be sustainable, do some walking, you know, it might just remind people.
If people would like to see our tea towel design, it is, of course, on our Twitter page.
Hooray!
So, yes. Do we have any more questions, or does everyone just want to go and have their lunch?
I think I can hear my stomach rumbling.
Is that what it was? I thought it was background music.
No.
I've gone quiet. Love the tea towel. Everyone just loves the tea towel idea.
Yay! Smug.
You can all tweet that at Sarah later.
I would love that.
She really
would love that. I'd puff. I'd just puff like a peacock.
Did anyone do a pun counter?
I think I got distracted by doing the webinar, but... Yeah.
Okay, have we answered everyone's queries? You all signed up for, with various different ideas in mind of what you wanted out of the webinar, and we have 10 minutes left, so if we've missed anything, then please do let us know. We hope we've kind of pitched it where you needed. We did have a quick look at who you all were and whether you had Twitter accounts. So if we have not answered anything, then please, now's your time. It's all gone quiet.
Maybe we should check the Twitter account. It's up here. 4 notifications.
Okay. Sarah's checking our Twitter. We have a laptop with technology on.
We have the
Let's get the hashtag EAUC webinar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. No, of course, that's fine. It's going to be slow.
Oh. Because we're on the...
Oh, yeah. Yay, thank you. Loving the webinar. Brilliant. Really enjoying the EAUC webinar using the hashtag, so thank you. Sustainable DMU. Uni of Surrey Green Team. Great webinar. Really inspired. Brilliant. That's what we like to see. Missed out anyone? No, Uni of Brighton. Brilliant.
They're loving this webinar. They're saying that they loved us even before we... Oh, goodness, quick.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it was me, wasn't it?
Oh, our screen's just
died on us. Technology, ain't it grand? Oh, we haven't missed anything. Okay, well, we've not got any more questions, so I'm assuming that Seth's going to jump in and say, yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Sarah and Sandra, that was brilliant. Yeah, so if you have any more questions about their accounts, then just tweet them, as they say, and all of the presentation slides and the podcast will be available afterwards, so please share it with your colleagues. There's also another social media webinar coming up by Manchester Metropolitan University later on in the year, so if anybody wants to sign up for that one as well, then you're more than welcome. Okay, thank you all for your time.
Yeah, that's all right. Don't worry about missing the hashtag. Thank you, Miriam, and Environment Team STA as well. St Andrews? Yep, thank you.
An edit feature on tweets would be nice. The amount of times I have to delete them and go back in.
Oh, I know. Did anyone see that? Delete.
Yes.
Yeah. See any notifications?
Okay, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Right, let's work out how to hang up.
I have no idea.